We are back. Bottom of the Barrel podcast. How are you doing, bottom feeders? You got your boy Jermaine talking, the best of them all. And then there's that other guy, Matt.
Hey!
How you feeling, Matt?
I was feeling pretty good till a second ago.
Oh, come on, man. You know how it is.
I do. That's the problem.
Anything new in your world, man, as we start another stellar episode?
Yeah, no, not really. I got some pizza.
Oh, that's great. What'd you get? You mushroom?
I got some Domino's. And I wasn't even feeling pizza, but I was feeling leaving my house even less.
And that's usually the reason to order pizza. I mean, plus the fact that it's delicious, but more so because they bring it to your house. You could have got Chinese, though.
Yeah, I get Chinese a lot.
You could have got Jimmy John's.
Are you trying to make me regret it?
No. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not really sure, actually, who delivers with Chinese food around here.
Yeah, that's usually hit or miss. So I guess I'll get this podcast started off. And I'm going to start off with an interesting story that I saw earlier today. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I have a healthy fear of alligators.
It's healthy.
Well, I saw that in Connecticut, they spotted a 3.5-foot alligator running down a sidewalk. You talk about terror. Exactly. An area where it's not supposed to be. 3.5 feet. Come on, man. That would be terrifying.
What, was it, did it get loose from something, or?
They have no idea. They caught it. Animal control has it. They got it in a cage and everything, but they have no idea where it came from. So, the biggest assumption is that it's probably someone's pet. It got a little too big, so they tried to get rid of it. Usually is what happens in areas like that where they're not supposed to be. But I'm just, in an area where you don't expect to see an alligator and you see one running down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead.
So around here it's bears. In Greensboro it's bears end up running around through town.
That's scary enough. But you kind of expect bears. You don't want to see them because they're scary as shit. But alligators, man. Oof. I don't know. It's a different level of scary.
I'm going to get you a pet alligator for your birthday.
Please do. I mean, if you want to kill me, that's the fastest way to do it. Just show me a picture of them.
Would you faint first?
I think I would just have a heart attack. Yeah, I don't think that I could possibly see a live alligator. Yeah. I don't know. I saw that and I was like, oh, hell no. It's the end of the world. Alligators in Connecticut.
Yeah. So what else going on?
That was probably the most exciting thing that I saw. I spent the whole day of sleeping, which I know that is, for me, is an achievement because I cannot sleep all day.
That's good.
But we're not going to talk about sleeping because that would bring down the mood of this podcast.
Best nap. That's the subject of...
So I say we just go ahead and get into it. I know we kicked around some ideas before the show that we were going to talk about some directors that we like, or some that are probably well known, some that are under the radar. Being that you're the movie guy, would you like to say a little something about what you look for in a director? What stands out for you?
Man, I don't know. Just being a little bit different, or just doing something in a slightly different way.
Well, let me start off by asking you, like, what without too much detail or to put you on the spot, give me a director that you don't care for and like the things that he does that don't suit you. Is there one that you're like, ugh, another one of his movies?
Who's the guy that did that Batman and Robin movie?
Oh, Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. And actually, he's not always bad.
Right.
But, or what's the guy that did The Great Gatsby? Baz Luhrmann? Yeah, I think that's who it is.
I can give you one that's pretty popular with people, but I just think, I mean, and I like some of his movies, but I find it like, it's the movies, there's a similar theme to the way all of his movies are. And I know that it'll make people hate me but it's Tim Burton.
Yeah.
People will just go, I want to see it anyway, and I have a Tim Burton movie on my DVR that I'm looking forward to seeing, but it's not every Tim Burton movie for it. It just depends.
No, I understand that. I don't know. Like at certain times, David Lynch can be really frustrating because
you're killing me because he's on my list.
Well, and I actually quite like him when he hits it. He knocks it out of the park. But sometimes it feels like he's just being weird for the sake of it.
Right.
But what was it? Mulholland Drive was, I think that's the name of it. It was really good.
Yeah. Blue Velvet.
Yeah, The Straight Story, which is actually kind of not his normal type of movie, but you still see kind of hints of his sense of humor within it, and it's a really good movie.
Since you already hit on one of the guys I have listed, we'll just go ahead and get into our list.
Okay.
And David Lynch was on my list, and for Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive, and I even put Lost Highway on there, even though you and I have talked on many occasions. That's the one movie I've walked away from going, what did I just watch?
Well, I don't think you're the only person.
Yeah, and it's to the point that I want to see it more. I want to watch it again, and I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I'll find myself on random days going, remember that movie Lost Highway? Holy crap. And I keep thinking to myself, if I think about a movie that much, I obviously liked it.
Yeah. I feel like I should watch it again, because I saw it so long ago, and I only remember, like, how weird it was.
Yep.
But I don't really remember anything else about it. Mulholland Drive, I really liked.
See, and that was the one. And one of the things I like about that movie is I think he gives you a little, like an intro into his world, like with the scene with I think it's Justin Theroux, right? Who's in the movie?
I see.
Where he's meeting with the studio and the board, and they're giving him the actress that's gonna be in his movie,
right?
The one he doesn't want, and I'm like, that's probably a little glimpse into his world when he meets with those people. When he's like, I've got the screenplay, I've mapped out this movie, I've already got a list of names of the people I want, and they're like, nope, it's going to be this person.
Well, and also that was originally going to be a TV series, and so he might have thrown that in because he was working on that to be the pilot.
Right.
And I'm sure at some point the execs were like, it's we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's like when we talked last podcast about that movie, What Just Happened. That's the kind of stuff that, I get a little excited about, because I think those things that happen behind the scenes are very interesting in how movies get made. Because, think about in that movie how he fought against it. And then they kind of went after his money and everything else, and then he's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Do you have...
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You going to say something?
Well, I don't want to harp on people I don't like, but I will say that somebody who I find extremely disappointing is Rob Reiner.
I think I was looking at some of his list too. And I was like, no.
Because he started off so strong. I mean, he did This Is Spinal Tap.
Right.
He did Stand By Me.
Right.
The Princess Bride, which is like an all-time great movie. And there was at some point, I don't know if it was when he did North, which a lot of people think is about the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff he did after, I don't know. I just keep waiting for him to get better again.
I don't think it's going to happen.
At this point, I'm not sure. And like Ron Howard, I used to think he did pretty interesting stuff, and I wish he'd stop doing Da Vinci Code type stuff. But
is there anyone that you like that you wanna?
Yeah. Let's see here. I was trying to think of somebody that I've gotten to like.
I don't want to cut you off, but I have to talk about my one seed.
Okay.
Mario Van Peebles, man.
Is that your main guy?
It's it's a must watch, must see every time. Doesn't a day go by when I don't watch a Mario Van Peebles movie.
How many does he have?
I don't know. I'm joking.
Not a big New Jack City fan?
I'm really not. And so many people told me, I remember as a youth.
So that movie was so hyped when we were young.
Oh my god. And I was like, this is it?
They're like, this is the greatest movie ever made. And that's not really an exaggeration.
No.
People were hyping that up.
it came across like if you hadn't seen it, you're a loser. And I finally saw it, and I was like, you guys suck. But that's still the movie I remember more so than that is the movie Rappin'. Did you ever see that?
I've seen the scene where he raps.
Well, he raps.
That's the one where
it's the whole movie.
Was that where he raps in the courtroom?
Yeah, he raps the whole movie because it's like a rapping musical. Dude, it's terrible.
It's hilarious. Somebody needs to look that up.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it because it was during the early days of rap. So, there was a lot of those movies that came out like Beat Street and Crush Groove and Breakin', which are great movies to me. And then you have Rapping, which is the worst.
Man, we need to look up that clip because it's so bad. It's hysterical. But the thing is, they're not trying to be.
No, they're trying to be hip is, I guess, the word.
If I remember it right, I don't even know what they did wrong. I don't know if it was like a Footloose thing where they're rapping too much and it was against the law.
It's like a gang type thing, and I don't know.
But doesn't he start rapping and the judge is like, okay, you win, just because he's so moved by their great rap.
I think early in the movie he gets out of jail and his crusade to save the community
through rap.
I can't. It's Mario Van Peebles movies. If you've never seen one, consider yourself lucky. But I had to get that joke in there because I thought about it earlier and I was like, don't forget to say Mario Van Peebles.
I don't know if we've said this before, and stop me if we have, but he's one of those people that you wonder how he's at all normal, because his dad is such a whack job.
Oh, we've talked about it, not on the podcast, but we've talked about it just in general.
I mean, Melvin Van Peebles is some kind of cult icon director who actually did, basically, I don't know if you call anything he does mainstream, but a sort of a mainstream pornographic film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yup.
And so he's having sex in it, and it appears that Mario, am I remembering this right?
You're correct.
Is having sex in it when he's a kid.
When he's like 13.
Yeah. And I always think of him and Robert Downey Jr. in the same way.
Yep.
Because Downey Sr. was bat poop crazy himself. But anyway... but Downey Jr. had a lot of talent, and Mario not maybe as much.
No.
But the director I like, let's see, I really like this. I guess he's sort of new, but then again, he's got 4 or 5 films. But I keep thinking he's going to break out huge pretty soon. I don't even know how to say his name. It's Ramin Bahrani. But he's actually from Winston-Salem, which I know that's what you thought I was going to say when I said his name. But
I thought you were going to start talking about Bollywood videos. Oh, was that insensitive?
That sounded a little racist.
I'm not racist.
I don't know anymore.
I hate all races equally.
Oh, okay. I guess that it comes so full circle. You're no longer racist if you hate everybody.
I spread my hate equally.
But anyway, this guy's
I can't be racist. I'm black.
What'd you say?
I said I can't be racist. I'm black. It's called Hall Pass.
Man, where can I pick up a Hall Pass, by the way?
It's an exclusive club.
I wish you'd take Alec Baldwin's away.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He's from Winston-Salem.
Yeah, and he's put that area into a couple of his films. It's I mean, as the setting, probably my favorite film of his is called Goodbye Solo, and North Carolina is a big part of it. He did Man Push Cart, which was good, Chop Shop, and it's coming out any time. It's called At Any Price, and it's got Dennis Quaid, who's getting awesome reviews and stuff, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But did you have anybody you want to talk about?
Let's see. I want to go with David O. Russell.
Yeah.
Who,
Three Kings.
I haven't seen Three Kings, but, Whoa, whoa. Well, you gotta remember, man. I at one point in time, I wasn't a fan of Clooney. I didn't
Yeah,
particularly care for Mark Wahlberg, and I kind of had a rule that if a rapper was in a movie, there's probably a strong chance it won't be good. So you had those three things going against it. But then I
yeah,
heard people like it, so eventually I guess I will watch it. But the movies that I think about, of course, is The Fighter,
yeah,
Silver Linings Playbook.
yeah.
I know a lot of people like I Heart Huckabees,
Never seen it.
and it didn't really light a fire under me, but I know people love that movie. But I saw
That's probably his least regarded film, though, isn't it?
I
'Cause that's why a lot of critics hated it.
you got me. I know everyone in Charlottesville loves it and told me I need to see it, and I was like, eh. But I don't hold it against him. Just the fact that it has such a strong cult following, But I also saw that he's filming a movie that looks really interesting to me called American Hustle, that has Christian Bale, Amy Adams, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, and Louis C.K. was going to be in it.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
and so that movie, I'm really excited about it, and I'm seeing that some of his other movies, I think is going to be really good. He's got another movie in works. It's another movie about the JFK assassination with De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. So those are two movies of his coming up that I'm looking forward to, based off the two that I like.
Scorsese's gonna be pissed. He's using both his guys.
Which is Scorsese is always at the top of my list, but I figured I try to talk about some other people that are maybe
Yeah,
not as known, that are still pretty known but not as known.
I hear you.
What you got?
Richard Linklater.
He's on my list too.
Yeah.
No, go. It just means there's more we can talk about.
And I need to look up, but I'll say what he's done. Because I just watched Before Midnight, which he did before, what was it, Sunrise?
And Before Sunset,
and then,
right?
And then, like, 8, 9 years later, he did Before Sunset. And then 9 years after that, he did Before Midnight. And I saw Before Midnight. I've seen the other two, and I saw Before Midnight just yesterday. And I wasn't even sure how much I liked it until, I kind of looked back on it, driving home and that whole thing. And it's just a really well done movie. I think all three of these films are the best thing, or close to it, that Ethan Hawke's done.
Or as you said, didn't you call him Christian Slater-ish?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I haven't been fair about that, but I always have thought of Ethan Hawke as kind of like Patrice O'Neal's joke about Christian Slater, which is he sucks, but he's good, but actually he kind of sucks. I think Ethan Hawke's pretty good. Maybe I haven't given him enough credit, but it was just hard to take him seriously when he was first popular and doing like Hamlet and stuff. But I mean, Linklater has Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, who's the main girl in it. They all three basically write this thing. It's a bunch. All of them are basically a bunch of really long takes, and it's just the two main characters talking, which I know sounds boring as hell. And I guess that's why I'm impressed with it, because I still find it interesting.
Right.
There's a joke that I can never remember who did it, but it was like from some TV show where they say, "Oh, what movie did you want to go see?" And there's one called, "Oh, I want to go see They Came to Talk." And it's like just the epitome of the most boring sounding movie ever. But he somehow pulls off something that could be called that, and it's still interesting. The thing with Before Midnight is it's kind of depressing. I won't give anything away, but it's not a typical romantic comedy, and
That's probably why it's good.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. It's realistic, which I both liked and didn't like. I liked it. I also thought, oh my gosh, I've had this exact same fight with my wife before. And I kind of, as much as I hate most romantic comedies, part of me thought, okay, now I kind of get why people need those right now. That, BS escapism that doesn't really exist in life.
Right.
But anyway, I like him a lot. I'll only talk about one more so we don't overlap, because I think maybe I've seen this one and you haven't, which is Me and Orson Welles.
Yeah, you got it.
And I think I like that one a lot in part because I like Orson Welles a lot.
Right.
And it was interesting. Plus it had my girl Claire Danes in it. But that was a really good film. Do you want to talk about him?
Word. I'll just say a few, because I like Dazed and Confused, which had a lot of people early in their careers. And
Matthew McConaughey was playing himself, but we had no idea.
Pretty much. I think Ben Affleck was playing himself too, a dick.
Yeah.
He had another movie after that called Suburbia.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot. And then there's the one that most people haven't seen, but I talk about it all the time, and that's A Scanner Darkly. And not to keep repeating myself, but it's a movie they shot and then went back and animated. And it's I can't remember. I think it's like Philip Morris is the guy who writes all those books.
Okay.
And it's like sci-fi books that a lot of them get made into movies, and they kind of are always all of them seem to be open-ended, think for yourself kind of movies. Yeah. And that's the way the books are, where it gets into philosophy a lot. So what's real, what's not, blah blah blah, which I know a lot of people hate, but it's a good movie, and you will make you think a little bit at the end, which I think probably scares people off.
Yeah, but those are the kind of movies I really like, and it's kind of movies that a couple friends of mine and I disagree about.
But yeah, I think I want to say, as I'm talking about, I think Philip Morris is the guy who writes those books. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, and I'll go ahead.
How dare you?
You have every reason to, or maybe it's Philip Dick. Now I'm completely drawing a blank on that. I have to look it up really quickly because it's gonna drive me crazy. Yeah, it's Philip K. Dick.
Okay.
My fault, folks. I just want to straighten that out. Oh, settle down now. Seem like you're gonna get upset. Yeah, because he wrote Total Recall, Minority Report.
Mm-hmm.
So anything. Blade Runner is another one of his.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You can pretty much determine what kind of movie that was if you've seen Blade Runner.
What if that guy ever did drugs?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he did. Which is like what the main theme of A Scanner Darkly. Yeah, because it says his books have metaphysical themes. So there you go. Do you want to go next, or?
Sure. Next guy I'll mention is Akira Kurosawa, he's actually really highly regarded.
I came across him earlier.
Really?
Yeah, I saw the name and I was like, oh, this is the person that people mentioned in a lot of movies.
He's been really influential. Spielberg, it's kind of obvious like that Spielberg was hugely influenced by him. Spielberg stole stuff from him for even Lucas, both George Lucas too. Lucas in Star Wars. Spielberg, even there's a scene in a movie, one of his last films was called Ran, which was in '85. And there's a scene, it's like a pretty hardcore movie, and there's a scene where a guy's picking up his arm because there was this huge battle, and Spielberg basically copied that exactly in Saving Private Ryan, the D-Day stuff.
Hadn't seen it.
Yeah, well, in Saving Private Ryan, there's a soldier that picks up his own arm, and that's completely lifted from Kurosawa. He did, what is it, Seven Samurai? Yeah, that, they made into the Magnificent Seven, and I believe that's one of them, or I think that's the one where it was like a blatant, almost scene-for-scene copy. And let's see, his favorite movie of mine, or my favorite movie of his, I should say, is, that would be impressive. Is Rashomon, which it tells a story from different perspectives, which doesn't sound, you're like, okay, but that was basically the first time that had ever been done.
Right. So
it was really groundbreaking, and now you see it like in
like every movie?
Yeah. Like, you can kind of see it in Tarantino's type of non-linear stuff, and you see it in, what's that Kevin Spacey film?
Usual Suspects?
Yeah, Usual Suspects. Definitely in Usual Suspects, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's just a great movie. It's funny because it's considered the best movie of all time to have a bad ending. But the only reason the ending's sort of bad is because he ran out of money and he meant to end it on a less optimistic note where this rain comes back in, and when these two main characters or whatever are walking away, it starts raining and it's all dark. But it was actually a really sunny day, and he didn't have the type of money to wait around for it to rain again or to go and just create rain.
Right.
And they didn't have like CGI back then to just finish it in post. But he's just really, really good. And you see how many he influenced Sergio Leone to the point where Leone basically ripped him off. But he's just hugely influential. And if you don't mind sitting through subtitles, there's usually enough action in his stuff that if you're a little hesitant, you can make it through it. Word. What else are you thinking of?
I think I'd have to go with David Fincher, who did Seven, Fight Club, Zodiac.
Game.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you gotta see the Game.
He did The Social Network, the remake of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and he also produced a movie that I liked a lot that I don't think most people like, Lords of Dogtown.
Okay, I've never seen that.
About the whole skateboarding trend and when that thing kicked off, which I think is an awesome movie. Heath Ledger's in it. He's actually really good in the movie. So, that's one that I suggested people would see. If you remember when the whole skateboarding thing took off, which took off before our time, actually, but still kind of was pretty popular when we were growing up.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, it was guys like Tony Hawk, and these were the guys that influenced Tony Hawk. One of the guys in the movie actually put Tony Hawk on his team and, helped him rise to superstardom.
That's cool.
But yeah, like one of the guys, I think he wrote the movie too, and I think his name's like Stacy Peralta, and I could be pronouncing his name wrong. He was so big and so popular at the time, like anytime they had a skateboarding scene in movies or TV, they used him, like, because they even talk about it in the movie, they use him on the episode of Charlie's Angels.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how popular it had become. He was kind of like a rock star. But I also, one of the reasons why I chose him, doing a little research on him, I didn't realize he directed so many music videos as well.
Yeah, I remember he got his start. I'm pretty sure doing that.
Dude, he directed like 4 Rick Springfield videos.
Really?
And he did 5 Paula Abdul videos, 4 from Madonna. He did the suit and tie video for Justin Timberlake. He also I listed 3 of the videos that he did that were, pretty big deal at the time because, after Michael Jackson did Thriller, everyone wanted to have that, really in-depth backstory video. And he did, the Janie's Got a Gun video, which, you couldn't make a video like that nowadays with that subject matter. He did that Cradle of Love Billy Idol video that everyone talked about, the guy lusting after the teenage girl, which you can do now. And he did the Freedom video with George Michael, when he was refusing to be in videos after, because he was one of the biggest pop stars at the time, and he got in that big contract dispute way before, he's showing his pickle in a bathroom in LA when he was still considered the man.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, you need to watch The Game.
Is that Michael Douglas?
Yeah, Michael Douglas, Sean Penn.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater with my friend Thomas, and we both really liked it a lot. I think it maybe wasn't as highly regarded, at least with the public.
Right.
Because the ending's kind of one of those you think about, which, we just said people don't like to think.
They like to turn their brains off.
I mean, it pretty much made perfect sense, and I don't know. But I liked it a lot.
Cool. I mean, based off, like I said, the list of movies I've seen I liked, I'd give it a go regardless.
Yeah. That's interesting, the whole video director thing, because it reminds me of Anton Corbijn. I don't know if it's Corbijn or I think it's the proper way to say it, but he's most famous as a photographer. Mm-hmm. But photographer and director, and you're thinking, well, who the heck is this guy? But everybody's seen his work because he basically helped create the look of the band U2 from Joshua Tree on to present day. He shot that cover, and he's basically been their main photographer since then. And the same thing with Depeche Mode. And if you really think about those two bands, they have kind of a specific look.
Right.
A lot of when they're photographed, a lot of it has a specific look. And he did a lot of their videos for both bands. He did the same thing with Nirvana. He did the heart-shaped box video. And he really helped kind of create the look for these different bands. And then he did a movie called Control, which is about the lead singer of Joy Division, which the critics really liked. And then he did a movie with Clooney called The American, which I really liked and audiences hated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw it come across the screen, and I didn't really give it a go because, you know, Clooney's hit or miss for me. So I was like, no one's said anything about this movie. I'll pass.
Yeah, I quite liked it. And Clooney's...
Is that the one where he's like in Italy and he's like a CIA agent or something like that?
Yeah, he's like he's like the paid assassin type guy.
Okay.
Like Cusack and Grosse Point Blank, but it's definitely not a comedy.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was just a really well done movie. And Clooney's come up a million times in my book since he first started making movies. But I don't know, it just seems like he actually tries to make interesting things. I think when he made that horrible Batman movie, he was like, look, I gotta start making movies I can be proud of.
Now, like I said, I respect Clooney because Clooney's one of the few people that actually said in an interview that, you know, sometimes you have to do 3 of the movies the studio wants to make the one movie you want. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I look at the Batman movies, is he probably was like, I gotta go ahead and get this, you know, out of my system to get something else. So I just respect him for admitting it, you know.
Yeah. But did you have anybody else?
I got quite a few.
I'll go through them because I'm almost finished.
So
go through a bunch of your...
Let's see, who did I have next? This next one is interesting because we've talked and joked about some of the things that he likes to do outside of making movies, and that's James Toback.
Oh yeah.
You know, because there's 3 of his movies that I liked a lot. Two Girls and a Guy with Robert Downey Jr., Black and White, which Robert Downey Jr. is in again. And I don't know, and one that I think most people haven't seen or even heard of, Harvard Man.
Okay.
Do you remember that one?
I'm not sure about that one.
That's the one that has the guy from Entourage. I think it's Adrian Grenier and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, it was a decent movie, man. So, I mean, his movies, you know, they're interesting, low budget, but, you know, I kind of dig him. The director's an interesting guy who we've talked about. Did you have any others, or you want me to keep going?
Which is the one he did with, When Will I Be Loved, with Nev Campbell?
Haven't seen it, but that is one of his.
I like him. I like that movie a lot.
It's on the list.
Yeah, I quite like that one. And he did the Pickup Artists, I guess.
I haven't seen that one either.
Or did he just write it? Maybe.
I know
he wrote it based on
he wrote
who
and
he was.
Because he wrote and directed the 3 movies that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think he just wrote it. No, it says he directed, but apparently he was quite a player just by showing people he was a director.
Right. The stories are out there. You can go ahead and read that. I'll stay away from that side of
Yeah. Well, my favorite story, real quick, about him is doing stuff is when Mike Tyson was in that movie.
Black and White.
Robert Downey Jr. was playing a gay guy.
That's Black and White.
What's that?
That's Black and White.
Yeah, and he told Downey to start hitting on Tyson, but neither one of them told Tyson he was going to do it because they wanted a real reaction from Tyson.
Right. And
so you see in the movie Tyson's real reaction, which I think was to slap the crap out of him.
Yeah.
He get really mad.
He hit the floor.
Yeah. So it's both. I guess Downey wasn't afraid to take his life in his own hands, but this director had no issue asking him to.
You know that had to be slightly terrifying.
Yeah.
I would find it slightly terrifying because you saw what he did to the one guy's face that he punched.
And that was before Tyson transformed into this like lovable guy in the last couple of years.
Right.
That was when he was still just totally feared.
Yeah, because that was in the wasn't that in the 90s?
Yeah, I think it was after the rape conviction. I think he'd gotten out of prison.
I feel like it was like the mid 90s or so.
But it was all the more reason to be scared.
I'd be scared of him right now.
Yeah.
Did you have another one? You want me to keep going?
I keep going.
Another one who had some popular movies when we were kids, has passed away now. He wrote and directed a lot of movies, and I think he's a lot of his movies are huge in pop culture. But I'm still a fan of John Hughes.
I almost mentioned him.
I was like, I have to mention him because I love 16 Candles, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, and he's done so much that we could be talking for hours about all the movies that he's done. But here's like one little small story that makes me like him even more. When if you read the book Disney War, they talk about when they were making the 101 Dalmatians movie because he wrote the screenplay for it. And when they got, Glenn Close to sign on, right as they were getting ready to shoot the movie, Glenn Close was like ready to back out because she wanted more speaking lines in the movie. And says, no, and she gave him like an exact amount of lines that she wanted and told, the guys at Disney, no lines, no Cruella. And, they started panicking and everything because, they had to have her in this movie. She's perfect for it. And without her, this movie was going to tank. So they're calling up John Hughes. They're constantly calling him. They can't get him on the phone. They're going to his house. He's not there. They're calling him. And they're like, what do we do? We got to shoot this movie. We're losing money, and we're about to lose Glenn Close. So they hire another writer. The minute they hire another writer, John Hughes calls. And he's like, what the hell? And, they're going back and forth. And they're like, can you write more lines for it? And he's like, the lines are fine. And, like, come on. They're begging him. And he's like, what are you doing? You're siding with the actor, not the writer. You commissioned me to write this. So, and if I remember serving correctly, and I could be butchering the story, which I probably am, I think he forced them to pay him more money to write more lines.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just thought that was cool that, he's like, you can't bully me. Whereas,
he definitely seems like someone who did what he wanted.
Right. And that story made me like him even more.
Well, the fact that he just quit pretty early, too. He retired. I mean, he was not an old guy. And
right.
I want to say he moved somewhere. He was like living in the Midwest or something. And people were always trying to get him to do stuff, and he really never would. He's like, I'm done.
See, that made me like him even more.
Yeah.
Did you have another one that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, a guy that I've gotten interested in lately is, it's another one of these names I'll probably butcher.
Go for it.
But it's Derek Cianfrance. C-I-A-N France.
I think I came across him earlier too.
So there's probably people somebody's listening rolling their eyes.
Oh, they're gonna be like, how can he like this guy? He can't even say his name.
Yeah. It's Cianfrance. How dare you?
Filthy American.
But he did Blue Valentine,
right?
Which is a movie it was another one of those movies it kind of just stayed with me, I guess. I was like, oh, that was good, and then 2 days later, I'm like, that was really good.
See, I was the same way because I was dying for you to watch that movie. I was like, I want to talk about it. Please watch it.
And there's a movie that Michelle Williams did. She was in Blue Valentine. There's another movie that she did that was similar in theme that I shouldn't even bring up because I can't say that girl's name at the moment that directed it, but I'll find it. Which is not kind of a downer, I guess. But then he did The Place Beyond Pines, which Ryan Gosling's in that one, and Blue Valentine. And I don't know, it's just a good movie. It's one of the better ones I've seen that's come out recently, or that I've seen this year. So if those are his two, I mean, he's done other stuff, but those are his two main fiction feature-length films. So I'm looking forward to where he goes from there.
Right.
Word.
Any other ones?
Nah, I've talked enough.
Oh my God.
We want to hear from Jermaine.
And this is your forte. I think another one that I like is I think it's James Mangold who did Copland, which I love. Did you see Copland?
Oh yeah, I liked it a lot.
Dude, that's one of the. I'm like, man, I can't believe Sylvester Stallone is in it. It's really good.
And he was good in it.
He was awesome in it.
Yeah, like he should have gotten nominated.
And
my favorite part of that movie is when he loses, like there's a gunshot or something.
When that's like at the end of the movie.
Yeah, he can't hear.
It is. You can't hear no sound.
Yeah, and was it Liotta or Ray Liotta?
Probably, yeah.
Who said something to him, and Stallone goes, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you." Before like taking care of business.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was just really well done.
No,
and it proves that Stallone, when he goes outside of himself from making stupid action movies, actually can act.
Yes. I resisted that movie because Stallone was in it, and at the time you felt beat down by him. And a friend of mine was like, "You should see Copland," because we were talking about a bunch of movies, and of course I was talking about Robert De Niro, and he's like, "De Niro's in it," so I was like, "Yeah," and De Niro has a small part in the movie. I was like, "Hey, set me up."
Yeah. It's got everybody in it.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't Keitel in it?
Keitel's in it.
Yoda.
Michael Rappaport.
And
Janine Garofalo.
Yeah. Robert Patrick.
Yep.
But to me, him and Liotta look so much alike, I had to concentrate on who was who sometimes. They should always play brothers in every film.
Oh, man. That's hilarious. But he also did Girl Interrupted.
I didn't even realize he did that one.
Yeah. Walk the Line.
Yeah, I remember he did Walk the Line.
The 310, the Yuma remake.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I got to put this guy on my list. But he's also doing, which I'm more and more that I'm hearing stuff about it, I'm getting excited about, is he's doing a new Wolverine movie.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, based off these other movies, I'm like, oh, it could be the S. It could be the one.
Yeah, 310 to Yuma, I think, was even maybe underrated. I thought that was really good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I actually watched that with my mother, who is a big Western fan. I didn't know it was a remake until, she was like, oh, they remade it. I was like, wait, what? And she was pretty impressed by it because she liked the original, and she was blown away by it. So, I mean, that said a lot to me. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It makes it, after watching it and finding out that there was an original, now I want to go back and watch the original because if I'm not mistaken, it's in black and white, too.
I believe you are right.
And if I'm wrong, who cares? Did you have another one that you want me to keep going? I got a few more.
Keep going.
Another one I'll go with is Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
He's got two movies that people constantly talk to me about, and one of them is one you talked to me about that I really want to see and haven't seen. And one's Memento and Insomnia, which I've heard from you told me about Insomnia.
Insomnia is great.
And everyone tells me about Memento, and everyone talked about it to the fact that I try to forget all the stuff that people kept telling me. Because I'm like, you guys are ruining this movie for me. I can't even watch it now because you keep telling me stuff. No, we didn't tell you anything important. I'm like, you told me too much. But, I will say, just based off the Batman movies, because I had pretty much, given up on the whole superhero movie thing, because they generally were awful until he started making the Batman movies, which I was like, wait, this is kind of cool. It's less like a superhero movie and more like a real movie. I don't know, and I still think The Dark Knight is easily the greatest superhero movie ever made.
Really? That's a bold statement.
I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I can't think of anything.
A lot of people probably agree with you on that.
Well,
too.
I think we know someone who thinks that The Avengers is way better than The Dark Knight.
I started The Avengers and something happened or I couldn't finish it.
The Avengers is a good movie. It's not as good as The Dark Knight.
Well, I only made it 25 minutes into The Avengers, and for some reason it's I had to go back to work or something.
Right.
And we had to return it to wherever. But I kept waiting for when is this awesome thing going to happen? Maybe it happens by minute 30. But yeah, I kept thinking, man, everybody's acting like this is Citizen Kane.
No. I think it's the thing about the Avengers that I've realized seeing it in the theater and then seeing it on TV, way better in the theater. Way better. It had a different feel to it because I watched it recently at a friend of ours at their house, and I was like, it's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
When I was in the theater, I was like, whoa. But again, I still don't think it probably eventually did more than The Dark Knight, but it's not a better movie.
Yeah.
But also we'll throw Inception in there, which I liked a lot. And I remember us watching it, and at the theater, we had a couple other people with us. We were all talking about the movie and the ending, and we all, 4 people with 4 different thoughts on the ending of the movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which I thought was kind of cool that, we just saw this movie. I think we even went like to get something to eat afterwards, and we were still talking about that movie. To the fact that when we got back to your house, we're still talking about the movie. Like, but this happened. But then remember when they said this?
Yeah. That's what I love about movies, when they can do that kind of thing. Instead of just wrapping everything up in a neat bow. Not that that's a bad thing.
Right.
But it's cool to try to interpret things or take things, see what you get out of them and fill in the blanks yourself. I like that too.
Yeah. Another one that I got, and I'm probably going to say his name wrong. Is it Sam Mendes?
Yeah, Mendes, yeah.
American Beauty, Road to Perdition, and Jarhead. I like those 3 movies. Go ahead.
You're leaving out his best movie.
I probably haven't seen it. That's why I didn't name it. Like, I don't, go for it.
He did Skyfall.
I didn't see it.
Dude, that's the best Bond movie ever.
See, that's why I didn't name it.
In my opinion.
I haven't heard too many people talk about it, so I do it based off what I've heard and what I've heard people talk about, or what I've seen. So I did. That's why I didn't name it. I saw it on the list, but I didn't know too much about it.
Well, and I know at least one person thinks I like Skyfall too much. He's like, oh, it's just a Bond movie, just an action movie. But for me, it's what I've always wanted Bond to be, which was hit on in Casino Royale. So basically, I like Daniel Craig Bond, actually probably more than any other version.
Yeah, I saw the first 2, because the Skyfall's the 3rd one he did, right?
Yeah.
I saw the first 2 and I liked them, and I hated James Bond before that. Like, I just thought the whole idea of it was just corny.
Well, and that's the problem, because even as much as I liked Sean Connery, it could get just too ridiculous. And I know it's people like, well, that's kind of the point, but it just wasn't for me. Like, especially the Roger Moore type era, to me, it's just ridiculous how kind of just silly and campy it would be.
Right.
And that's why I like Skyfall so much, because, yeah, it still has ridiculous moments,
right,
but not nearly as ridiculous compared to, it's as realistic as a Bond movie could ever be, which is probably like, it's not, that might not be saying a whole lot, but, right. I mean, I don't know, I liked it. It shows Bond as being fallible, like, he's not Superman, that kind of whole thing I really liked. I just like Daniel Craig as Bond for some reason.
Right.
But
no, it's all good.
So what movie of his do you like the most that you've seen?
Of those 3?
Yeah.
It's probably American Beauty.
Yeah.
And I just dug that movie for some reason. I own it. It was interesting. I didn't expect to like it. And it's one of those movies that, I heard everyone talk about. And it just caught me off guard. I don't know. I just thought, like, Kevin Spacey was hilarious. And just into his daughter's best friend. When he just starts working out. And, and when he turns the tables on his boss. That kind of stuff. Anything that can make me laugh, even though it's a depressing movie. I think I got like maybe 2 more, and then I'll be done. Unless you got something else you want to bring up.
I'll bring up maybe 2. So you go, and then I'll go.
Another one that will probably catch people off guard is David Gordon Green.
Okay.
He did All the Real Girl, which is one of Zooey Deschanel's earlier movies. Mm-hmm. Nothing groundbreaking there. More of a relationship, a dialogue-driven movie, but I thought it was really well done. And I think it's a movie that you would definitely like to check out.
I saw that one.
Huh?
I did see that
one. You
did?
I thought you didn't see it. You told, because last time we talked about it, you were like, I didn't see it.
Well, I think I've seen it since we talked.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you like it?
Yeah, no, I liked it.
Okay, cool. I was like, I'm telling him to see it, and he's like, it sucked.
No, I dug it.
But he directed Pineapple Express, which is a movie I love. Another movie that we've talked about that we watched, Your Highness, that critics panned it, but I dug it. But he also directed the TV show Eastbound and Down.
Oh, wow.
which, again, I think is awesome. And the thing that all those things that I listed have in common is that Danny McBride is in all of them.
Yeah.
And my favorite name, the name that he has in All the Real Girls, Bust Ass. I don't know why. When he said his name, I was like, that's awesome. Well, what you got?
I guess I'll mention Werner or however you want to say the German, Herzog.
Is that the grizzly guy?
Yeah, Grizzly Man, which is kind of terrifying documentary.
To say the least.
I mean, the footage is awesome, but, the guy's insane. I mean, people want to look at him as a heroic figure, but it was a dude that was completely out of his mind who went to a wildlife preserve to protect grizzly bears. Now, they're in a wildlife preserve. They're pretty much already protected. I mean, I guess
it's horrific that I'm laughing, but it is what it is, folks.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe you could argue there was people here or there messing with him, but I don't know. I think he just wanted to be close to grizzly bears for whatever reason. And it's not really a spoiler because everybody knows he gets killed by one of the grizzly bears. And but anyway, I didn't really mean to just talk about that film, but he does a ton of documentaries, but he also does a ton of just straight fiction films. And 2 or 3 are just like iconic classic movies. Fitzcarraldo, which they did somebody else did a documentary of the making of that, and that's actually almost more fascinating than the actual film, because just how it's one of these films that there's so much going on, kind of like when they made Apocalypse Now, that you thought this director was just going to lose his mind, or was in the middle of losing his mind. So that was kind of fascinating. He's almost more famous for his voice than anything. Like you'll hear his voice and stuff. He actually was on a Simpsons episode not too long ago, and I'm like, that's Herzog.
Really?
Yeah, but see, Aguirre, The Wrath of God is like just freaking awesome movie with one of the best endings I've ever seen. And actually, the closest thing to a mainstream film he's ever done is really good with Christian Bale, called Rescue Dawn, and it's based off of a true story. And Christian Bale is a guy that's plane gets shot down, and him just basically trying to live and get rescued, and it's really well done. But he's a pretty awesome director. Who's your last person?
You know him well. I wish he would direct more movies, but it's Ben Stiller.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, I like Reality Bites, and even though it was panned by the critics, I like the Cable Guy. Not Larry the Cable Guy.
Cable Guy was good.
But the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. And, he directed Tropic Thunder.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of wish Ben Stiller would direct more movies, as well as star in them.
But what did you think of Zoolander?
I've only seen parts of it, and I know everyone loves it. Zoolander, it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, there were a few critics out there that couldn't stand it, but yeah, it's very it seems like a love it or hate it movie that I fall somewhere in between. But Tropic Thunder, if he can make things like that.
Oh my God. I wish he would direct more movies.
Yeah.
He's an interesting fellow. Did you
Sure.
You have any more?
Not really. We'll stop it there.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. We're calling it a show. We're going to end this one. You going to take us out?
Yeah, we'll probably put up a list of movies you should watch, or maybe we won't. Maybe you just have to listen this far. You should check out some of these. And thanks for listening. I guess we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace, bottom feeders.